Hey, buenos dias, que paso amigos, John's Moto Garage. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Indian Challenger. So what's all the hype about, man? What is the big deal with this new Indian motorcycle that's coming out? Now, truth be told, I didn't plan on doing a video on the Indian Challenger. I was going to wait for the bike to be released, possibly get my hands on one at some point on a test ride, and that probably would have been the extent of my discussion on the motorcycle. But big shout out to Gears and Gadgets, another local YouTuber here in Arizona. He got his hands on some leaked photos of the Indian Challenger, and he actually got those photos from the person who took the photos. And so Gears and Gadgets reached out to me, offered to send me the photos with the permission of both him and the dude who took them. Well, I might add, go check out Gears and Gadgets. He did a much better job just kind of breaking down the Indian stuff with this new Challenger. So big shout out to Gears and Gadgets. Big shout out to Greg, the gentleman who took these photos initially.
Greg Google Translate. Grzywacz.
Greg G, thank you both. So we're going to talk a little bit about the bike. What's all the hype about? What's the big deal? We'll talk a little bit about the specs and then a little bit about the styling aspect of this motorcycle. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about at all, stay tuned. We'll go into all of that. All right, so first of all, a little bit of backstory. What is the Indian Challenger? It's the new motorcycle Indian's releasing that has a fixed front fairing, so it's basically set up to compete directly with the Harley Davidson Road Glide. Indian already had the Chieftain and some other motorcycles that have the kind of Batwing style fairing to compete with the Street Glide, but they never had a fixed fairing touring bagger motorcycle. Now, rumors started floating around that they were coming out with this motorcycle in the last year or so, and I just assumed they were going to throw in the Thunderstroke 111 or 116 that they already offer. I wasn't expecting them to do a completely new engine. Now, here's the crazy thing. The new engine they're putting in here is, I believe, is the PowerPlus 108. It's a liquid-cooled 108 cubic inch V-twin. Now, first thing I was thinking was like, whoa, hold on a second. A 108, they already have the 111 and 116. Not to mention, Harley already has the 107, the 114, and the 117 CVO. So how are you coming out with the 108, barely edging out the 107 MA, but you're not coming anywhere close to the 114 and the 117? But if you do a little bit more digging, you'll soon realize that this 108 is nothing to be messed with. It's actually Indian's most powerful engine to date. It's 122 horsepower, 128 foot-pound of torque that this thing puts out. And the difference is this one's a liquid-cooled performance V-twin as opposed to the air-cooled 110, 117, 114, whatever, all those other engines that we're talking about, all those other V-twins. So right off the bat, Indian's coming in with a punch when it comes to the actual engine itself. Let's talk a little bit about the design itself. Like I said, this is basically to compete with the Harley Davidson Road Glide. Now, when I first saw it, I thought it kind of reminded me a little bit of the Yamaha Star Eluder, as far as like the design style. But of course, Harley's the big dog, the big name in this arena, and so I don't think there's any doubt this is to compete with the Harley. And styling wise, I dig it. It's obviously not the exact same thing as the Harley. Is it a ripoff of the Harley? Yeah, sure, it's a ripoff. I mean, all bikes are or were at some point a ripoff of something. You know, it's all built off of what everybody else has already done up to this point. But the cool thing is that now we have the option. It's another alternative. And right there, you've got the, Kawasaki Vaquero, you've got the Yamaha Star Eluder, you've got some of those other metric alternatives, and now we have another one built right here in the US, at least the engine is, and some of the other stuff. So that's pretty much, those are my thoughts on it. I'm not going to be buying one anytime soon. I'll wait till they're available on the used market in like 10, 15 years, who knows, maybe at that time. But I do think it's rad that we have another option. As I've mentioned before, and many others have as well, it's always good to have competition. I think the competition will just help to advance innovation even more within the industry. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that if we didn't have Polaris or Indian over here doing what they're doing, that Harley probably wouldn't be doing what they're doing, for better or for worse. Oh, how could I forget? And of course, the Indian, the cool thing with the Indian, you'll note, it has the inverted front forks. So in addition to the ridiculous performance specs of the engine itself, you'll note that the bike seems to be built with performance in mind, with the inverted front forks. I think a little bit shorter wheelbase for handling, I could be mistaken, but overall I think a really nice, clean looking motorcycle. I'm looking forward to see what other people are going to do with it. So there you have it, guys. Again, big shout out to Gears and Gadgets, to Greg G for getting these photos and giving us the sneak peek. It won't be long before you've got videos galore and photos galore of the motorcycle, so the novelty will wear off, but I think the bike is here to stay. It looks like a rad one. That is, as long as they don't have any issues with their charging system where they have to halt production. And oh, never mind, this isn't an electric bike. All right, guys, John's Moto Garage. Like, subscribe if you dig the content, and you can follow me on Instagram at John's Moto Garage. And big shout out to those who support the channel through Patreon. Link below if you want to do that. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Adios, hasta luego, nos vemos.